and every one of you. On behalf of our Board of Trustees and our Superintendent, Dr. Scondra, I'd like to welcome you all to Humble High School and to the Humble Bizcom. I see some familiar faces, and I had an opportunity to meet your acquaintance back in 2014, and I see some new faces, and I'm looking forward to meeting your acquaintance here in 2015. Just a little bit about myself for those of you that are new to the Humble Bizcom, and we appreciate you being here today. But I'm Charles Knipp, building principal. This is year 6 for me, reigning at the helm of this fantastic high school. I've been in the district 14 years, and during that time, I've had an opportunity to make so many good friends during the course of the academic day, the extracurricular activities that occur in the evening, and obviously this has been a welcomed addition to what we do during the school day in terms of being able to network with so many fantastic leaders in our business community. Some of the things as it relates to HHS, obviously you heard Mr. Brady kind of brag a little bit about being an alumni. Mr. Sitton is also an alumni of Humble High School. Any other alumni here today? Okay, also Mr. Funderburg, alum. What's your name?
Jessica Beamer with Councilor Martin's office.
Jessica, welcome. So it's always great welcoming back alumni. We do have a rich tradition and a fantastic collection of alumni all over this country. And so it goes without saying that, I bleed purple, and I'm extremely proud of the things that our kids are doing here at HHS and the things that our former students are out doing in the world of work. For me, this is my life. This is all that I know in terms of being able to get out and interact with students each and every day and being able to help those individuals that may have some deficits or may not have the best background to go back to help achieve and overcome and be successful in life. I mean, I think that's our sole purpose, and education is a ministry, and I do believe that we have to act as such, each and every day. So, a little bit about Humble High. This is, been here at this address since 1965, and we, currently have 1,634 students enrolled at Humble High School. During the end of the fall semester, the beginning of the spring semester, you lose some students, but you do gain some students. And we have 33 countries represented here at HHS, so we're a very diverse campus. And we're extremely proud of our diversity, and obviously the number of languages that's spoken here is just phenomenal. And in terms of looking at some of the things that we're launching this semester, because the fall, you have a lot of things that's introductory for students, and obviously being able to successfully negotiate final exams is what they've most recently done. But the spring is all about STAR testing and all about graduation for our seniors. And that's what we're hitting hard and heavy, making sure that our students are well prepared for their STAR assessments, in addition to making sure our seniors are prepared to move on to post-secondary education or college and career ready as it relates to them being ready. So one of the things that, we did initiate and did launch this semester is basically looking at focusing on our attendance. Overall collectively, our target is 95%. As it relates to where we want to be for our attendance rate for our kids, because it's very difficult for the students to master anything if they aren't here. And there's some kids that they call the shots in the homes and they decide when they're going to go to school and when they're going to stay at home. And unfortunately, it's the reality of the society we live in today. There's some homes like that, and those homes are in the minority. But being able to look at it from a standpoint of trying to offer something to students to do something they should be doing anyway. I had an opportunity to meet with all grade levels yesterday and roll out an attendance incentive program. And this program basically provides just small rewards for the kids for being in attendance, perfect attendance weekly, perfect attendance monthly, perfect attendance at the end of a 9-week grading period, as well as perfect attendance for the semester. And some of the neat things, and I won't bore you with the details, but some of the neat things that we're doing for kids that's in attendance, perfect attendance weekly, because we used to do things at the end of the 9-week cycle, but it's very difficult. Illnesses happen, family emergencies, those types of things. But being able to reward those kids that are taking care of their business each and every day, and even if it's short term. So, we're providing with things such as food coupons, tardy passes, release from class so you can get to lunch early pass, and those things are what they're going to get more frequently And also during the course of the month, we're offering things that's more generic in nature, but it's valuable and meaningful to the kids because they've oftentimes told me, Dr. Nair, we just like chill time to go in and just listen to our music or, text or, surf on our phones. And, we're going to more or less have a few fun Fridays for those students that have perfect attendance for the month. For the 9 weeks, we're going to, hopefully, if I can, successfully determine when the bowling alley renovations will be done, we're going to take them bowling down at the Max Bowl and just try to make a fun time of it. And ultimately, those individuals that do have perfect attendance for the semester, I've already procured several LED televisions, headphones, iPods for those students, and we'll do drawings for those individuals in addition to a senior prom package. Anybody here has a limousine company? But a senior prom package where we're going to provide a limo, we're going to provide from our cosmetology department a makeover or a haircut. We're going to do a dinner, $50 gift card to Pappas, and we're going to do a one prom ticket for that individual. So it's some neat incentives that we have, and I'd like to acknowledge a few of your fellow Bizcom colleagues that have already contributed to this incentive. I'd like to acknowledge Dwayne and Erica Johnston, operators of Chick-fil-A Fall Creek. We appreciate your generosity, and also Jana Gonzalez from Investex. We definitely appreciate your generosity as well. It goes without saying that it definitely takes a village. I'm only one person, and me and my staff, we do, there's a lot of things that they're charged at doing, and I'm not going to put other things on their plate. But again, it's definitely helpful when I'm able to come out and network and have individuals that's just so willing to be a part of the Humble High School community and want to do whatever they can to help our students be successful. So again, a little bit too long-winded, but I just wanted to make note of that because I think that it's something that's really important to me, because obviously if the kids aren't here, I think that their academic success, it'll show in the data. And we want to make sure that the second semester they're here so they can successfully negotiate their STAR exams in addition to earning credit for the semester. So before I give it back to Scott, I have one announcement to make, and that is, how many baseball enthusiasts do we have in here? Baseball enthusiasts, okay. The Humble High School baseball is having their Hall of Fame banquet. It will be held on Saturday, June 24th at the Walden Country Club. And it's an open event. There is a small fee to pay to access this event. But the guest speaker is Roger Clemens. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you guys. I mean, you don't have to travel for January 24th, 7 p.m. You can go to the Humble IZ website, and the information is noted on there as far as the contact information, so that you'll have the email addresses. Our head coach is David Sitton, and you'll be able to communicate with him if you'd like to RSVP. Obviously, we are, the fee may be paid at the door as well, but I think it'll be a fun evening. So please come out and support Humble High School and the Humble High School Hall of Fame ceremony. All right, Mr. Brady, thank you for your time, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ned. A lot of great things happening at Humboldt High School, and thanks to all of the folks that helped make that happen from within and outside the walls of the building. So thanks again for all you do. Daryl Bosky, City Manager of Humboldt, was going to be our next speaker. He had an emergency come up this morning and is not able to be here. He had a lot of items to talk about, but he did just jot down a couple for me. The Will Clayton expansion from Wilson Road, or from Will Clayton to Atascocita Road is underway. It will basically look just like it does out here in the front of the high school, all the way to Atascocita Road. So you have a right lane, left lane with a center turn lane, which will help traffic move along as you make your way south. The reason it stops at Atascocita is because the city of Humboldt doesn't have jurisdiction beyond that, and so they're already working with the county. I think Commissioner Cagle's office is working on the expansion from Atascocita Road to the Beltway, and I don't have any information other than that to report on that portion of it. Also, Main Street and Higgins Streets. Higgins is the one that runs in front of Charles Bender High School. We'll have some major renovations on the pavement and new sidewalks with turn-of-the-century lighting. added, so to really dress that up downtown. Of course, Charles Bender High School, I've been very involved with that, and we had hoped to be able to present today and tell you it was finished, but due to the fact that it was built in 1929, we've had a few snags. But overall, it's gone really well. It's within budget, and that's always good news. And I haven't had to cut any corners and stuff, but as you get into a building that old, you find other things that need to be addressed, and so that's kind of delayed a little bit. But should be finished definitely by the end of February, and possibly a little bit sooner. But it's just going to be really, really gorgeous inside and out. And if you haven't had a chance, you can actually drive by. The windows aren't, what's the word I'm looking for, blocked, or there's no blinds on them, and so you can peek in and take a look inside. You can see kind of what the foyer at least is going to look like. But the whole building is going to be just spectacular and a great venue to have right here in downtown Humble. It'll seat about 375 folks in the auditorium. It'll be a nice mid-sized venue for a lot of things that can take place there. So we regret that Mr. Bosky can't be here, but he said he would definitely be on the agenda again if we ask him to for May, and can give us some more updates at that time. So, and I forgot to do this, Vivian, but you can do this now. Our presenting sponsor of the Humble Bizcom is, of course, Memorial Hermann Northeast. And I'd like to have Ms. Vivian Bond come up. She's going to also introduce our next speaker, but tell you a little bit about some things happening at Memorial Hermann.
Happy New Year to everybody else. I hope it's been happy and healthy, so you haven't been lined up in any of the emergency rooms at the moment. Memorial Hermann's always pleased to be here. Thank you, Chamber, for having us. We're also very pleased to have an affiliation with Humble ISD. As I introduce our next speaker, I'll talk about our orthopedic program and sports medicine program that we talked about last time as well. But before I do that, we've got a couple of exciting pieces of news regarding the hospital. We are undergoing an operating room expansion, which is due to open the first part of February. So we'll be increasing our capabilities there, not only by adding additional suites, but adding a hybrid suite that'll enhance our ability to do provide vascular procedures. In addition to that, we're adding a new neurosurgeon to our program. Dr. George Alshami hoped to be here today to introduce himself personally. Unfortunately, he had some patients to take care of. But he'll be joining Missioner Neuroscience Associates, which is based in the medical center and has a clinic here at Northeast with Dr. Al Fenoy. So they'll be able to take care of any of your spine needs. That said, it really is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Dr. Raj Agrawal is with Cardiovascular Association, a strong partner of Memorial Hermann Northeast. And he's here to talk about an upcoming heart health fair. However, before he does that, I want to say thank you to him, not only for years past, but for this upcoming year as we plan our Humble ISD athletic physicals. As you guys may know, we provide EKGs, an EKG screening for all incoming ninth grade athletes. Dr. Agrawal's group has been the group that has read about 900 EKGs each year for us to help ensure that our students have healthy hearts before they start their sports physicals. So without further ado, Dr. Agrawal with Cardiovascular Association is here to talk about their upcoming heart health fair.
Thank you to Memorial Hermann. Dr. Ed, thank you for having us here today. Before I start, our practice has been in the Humble area for about 17, 18 years now, and we're finally part of the chamber. I don't know what took us so long, but we do want to play a very active role. And to start, we want to commit to multiple scholarships every year for your students when they graduate. So every year we'll do that. We've been very blessed. We're very busy, and
That's a great way to grab the mic, right?
so I'll be in touch with you about that later on. But thank you guys. Happy New Year. A little bit about our practice. We are 13 doctors in our practice, which thankfully now is the largest private cardiology practice in the entire greater Houston area. There are some larger ones in the medical center affiliated with medical schools, but we're now the largest, and soon to be 15 in a few months. So unfortunately, as we get older, heart disease becomes more common, and we're seeing more and more people with heart disease. But thankfully, the technology and some of the medications nowadays are prolonging not just quantity, but quality of life. So we basically do everything in cardiology except for heart transplants. The heart transplants we take down to Memorial Hermann downtown to do that, but everything else we do in Humble, Kingwood area. Everything. So that's been a big blessing. But one of the things that we like to do is community service. And in 2013, in April, we did a health fair at the Civic Center with the blessings from the mayor. And it was very successful. We had about 2,000 people show up, and we did absolutely cost-free testing and from feeding them breakfast and lunch and doing multiple tests on them, including, actually this year we'll be doing even more. This year we'll be doing EKGs, stroke screening, circulation test, aneurysm screenings, a lot of blood work. Northeast and Kingwood are helping out with that. We'll be checking their full cholesterol panel, sugars, perhaps some other blood work, bone density, diabetic foot checks, lots and lots of free testing. We tell them when they walk in that you will not spend a dime today. Everything will be taken care of. And the target audience is our community. It's not a way to get more patients, because as Vivian can attest, we're very busy as it is. But we want to target the people that do not have insurance. We want to target the people that will not be able to get these testings done otherwise. We want to feed them. We want them to have a good day. We're going to have educational talks. We're going to have games for kids. But the focus of this event, which will be on January the 24th, again at the Civic Center, is to target people who otherwise will not be able to get these testing done. And you'll be surprised, last year we did, 2013, we did maybe 1,100 EKGs that one day. And we had at least 20 of them, 15 to 20, that were severely abnormal. Severely abnormal. And we helped some of those people to come into our office and not pay a dime to get further testing done or to see our board certified doctors. And I can, not that we have a big head, but I can pretty much guarantee that we, at least 5 to 10 of them, we prevented them from having a massive heart attack or stroke. Even if we're able to do that for one person, it's well worth it. We need help from you guys though. We don't need money, we don't need support. What we need is, we need to get the word out. We need for you guys to tell your employees, your neighbors, your friends, families, whoever you can. If you can allow us to put a flyer in your business place, if you can help us distribute these flyers. We're expecting about 4,000 to 10,000 people this time. Last time it was at the weekend of the golf tournament, so that lowered the crowd a little bit, and it was also Easter weekend. But this time we have no excuses. It's the weekend right before Heart Month starts, so it's a great way to kick off National Heart Month in February. So whatever help you guys can provide with getting the word out is what we need help with. One thing that we did do last year with help from everyone at Humble ISD is, which we're hoping to do again, is we sent a flyer to each and every child in Humble ISD. We delivered several thousand flyers to each of the schools, and the teachers allowed the students to take a flyer. It was in English and Spanish, and I think that helped out to bring more people there. It should be a great event. We definitely need help to get the word out. More people we can serve, the better. And again, the target audience, although everyone is welcome, but we're really trying to focus in on people that don't have insurance, that will not be able to get these testing done otherwise. And if they are abnormal, we'll have all 13 of us present there to go over the results with them, consult with them, and gear them in a direction where they can get help with little to zero cost at all, if possible. If you guys have any questions, I will, yes ma'am.
If we want us to distribute flyers, how do we get in touch with you, or who should we get in touch with?
If you will let Vivian or Nancy know, please, and they will let us know, and I will personally have Elizabeth, who's my in-charge person, to bring them to your place and get them to you. Yes, sir.
Could you give just a brief description of how a stroke screening works?
Absolutely. A stroke screening, his question is, how does a stroke screening work? The way we do it, which is the way like Lifeline does it, or these other companies that go around doing them, is we bring our fancy ultrasound machine and we check both sides to see if there's any plaque buildup or blockage in the carotid area. And there is one main area, which is right at the beginning of the artery, which goes inside the brain, where you get blockage. And we're able to look at that and tell them right away, normal or abnormal.
Most general checkups, annual checkups, don't have that, do they? I don't think I've ever had anything like that.
No, they don't. They don't. And that's why even with heart disease, you may go to a primary care doctor and you get an EKG, and that's not good enough. Because most of my patients that have had heart attacks, most of them have normal EKGs. So there is nothing that, even as we're board certified in internal medicine too, there's nothing that I can do. I could listen to your carotids. You could have a 99% blockage and it'll sound normal. But then you could have a 99% blockage and it sounds abnormal too. So there are some screening type of things that are recommended at certain ages. You know, we never question that women should get mammograms. We never question that we should get prostate exams or get flu shots. But we don't have that mentality that we should do things to protect ourselves from cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the US. Breast cancer research gets 100 times more money. And it's #3 in women only. I'm not saying that that's not important. I'm saying heart disease kills 10 times more women than breast cancer does. But the money available is much less for that. The screening modalities are there. Insurance companies cover for them for screening. Usually co-pays and deductibles don't apply for screening type of things. And people aren't doing it. They're not. But with this test, to answer your question, we'll be able to look and see if they have plaque buildup. And if they do, we'll kind of help them avoid their stroke. The other way we're going to avoid the strokes is by doing an EKG. Because the second most common cause of strokes is if you have an irregular heart rhythm and you form a blood clot inside your heart called atrial fibrillation. And the blood clot can travel and cause a stroke. So we're going to do EKGs on everyone, if they want. Yes, ma'am?
What time is the fair? What time does
It will start at 8 a.m. Yes, 8 a.m. on Saturday, the 20th, at the Civic Center. Yes, sir.
Are there common warning signs that we should be aware of and look out for?
For strokes? Yes. Now I'm getting into my medical talk. Very good question. I have a whole 2-hour talk on that, but let me summarize real quick. The key with stroke-like symptoms is one word, is sudden. If you feel, numbness on one side, or you can't talk, or your vision changes, or you can't walk right, or something happens suddenly, like the light switch goes off, be very worried. Now, if you've been sleeping on this side and your arm is numb, that's different. But all of a sudden, something changes neurologically. Do not ignore that. To butter up to my colleagues at Northeast now, Northeast is fantastic at stroke care. We are able to do, and I've looked at the statistics, and actually our cardiology meeting, and I'm the chairman of cardiology this year, our stroke numbers are amazing. From the time someone comes in with stroke-like symptoms, within 5 minutes, and that's the maximum we allow, we have an answer, if it is or is not, within 5 minutes. So, but the key is sudden. Any sudden onset of any symptoms, usually neurological, so either loss of movement, sensation, speech, hearing, vision, be very worried. Well, and while I'm on my medical talk now, heart disease, the one symptom that you guys should never ever ignore, any one of you, is if you get any numbness or tingling in this arm, particularly in these 2 fingers, in your ring finger and your tiny finger, as I call it. If you get any numbness, tingling in that finger for no reason, that may be your only warning sign that you're going to have a heart attack in the next week or so. Do not ignore that, please. Pop an aspirin, come to the emergency room, or call us or whatever, but do not ignore that, because a lot of people will come into the emergency room having a massive heart attack, and you ask them, what symptoms have you had? They're like, well, my chest pain started today. I'm like, okay. How were you last week? Yeah, I was fine. How were you last week? Well, I had this little tingling. I'm like, you know what? Now your heart function is down to 20%. Had you come in last week, you would not have had your heart attack. And please also, everyone, please, please, please get your cholesterols checked. I had a recent patient, 41 years old, who was jogging at Memorial Park. He lives over here but works over there, so he jogs around there, and came in with a massive stroke, massive heart attack while he was jogging. And during the weekends over here, came to Northeast, and he was just crying. He was like, why me? I'm 41, I take good care of myself, I jog, no family history, I don't smoke, I'm not diabetic. What the hell, doc? Like, what the hell is your cholesterol? By that time, I had his cholesterol back. His cholesterol was over 300. And I looked at him straight in the eyes and said, John, if you would have come in and gotten it checked 2 days ago, when we found this, you would not have had a heart attack. Because that's all it takes, a little bit of Crestor or Lipitor. For 2 days, the plaques that cause heart attacks are stabilized. Doesn't make the blockage go away, but at least you won't have a heart attack. I'd rather have a 50% blockage and know that I will never have a heart attack than have a 10% blockage and be at risk. So fortunately, with the technology and education methods and medications that we have nowadays, and I'm not a big pill person. I'd like to treat things by kind of just sitting down and talking with you and say, hey, let's change this about your life, or do a little bit more of this, or do a little bit less of this, before resorting to medications. And it works. Louis, the CEO, has once come to our office and said, Dr. Agarwal, how come you guys don't have that many patients in the hospital? I'm like, thank you, Louis. That's a compliment. That's not. So the methods do work. But please help us in getting the word out to the community. And any way we can help you guys, please let us know. We want to play a very large and active role in the chamber, as well as in the community. If you guys have other opportunities for us to help out, like sponsoring baseball, little league teams, or whatever, we want to work with the community. And we do the high school kids trainings, like Vivian said, and that's very important for us. We were actually able to find 3 last time we did it, 3 young men and women that would have participated in sports, but we asked them and their parents to not do that, and probably statistically 1 out of those 3 would have had a bad event. So we're very thankful that we participate in that, and all of the money generated from that is given, all of it is given back to the athletic department, 100%. So, yes, sir.
Doctor, just quickly, I want to comment, because I want everyone to know, and my comment is in thanking you and Memorial Hermann for doing the EKGs for our student athletes, because that's not required by the state of Texas, and the vast majority of school districts do not make that a part of their athletes' physicals, but I'm proud to say we do that here in our community, but we only do it because of the partnership with Memorial Hermann, and really you're generously giving your time and expertise. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those kind words. And we do, also with the EKGs, they also get a echocardiogram, ultrasound of the heart. So they get a full physical exam, EKG, and an echocardiogram that we look at right away. And the echocardiograms and EKGs have 3 kids last time. So it's a big deal. So thank you for all of your help. Appreciate it. It's January 24th. It's 2 Saturdays from this coming Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks again, Dr. Agarwal, and thanks Vivian, and thanks to Memorial Hermann for all they do. You know, we're so fortunate to be 20 miles from the largest medical center in the world, but yet less than a mile from here, certainly no more than that, we have great hospitals, Memorial Hermann, right up the road, Kingwood Hospital, even Pines Hospital for certain types of treatments. So we're fortunate to have these hospitals right in our backyard, and there's a hospital that I must admit I did not know about until the October Bizcom, and that's Icon Hospital located right here in Humble as well. So to tell us more about Icon Hospital and to explain some levels of care, I'd like to introduce Jody Baker with Icon Hospital.
Thank you very much. Jody Baker. I'm the senior liaison for Icon Hospital, and we're the 54-bed long-term acute care hospital right behind Memorial Hermann Northeast. They're off McKay Boulevard in Humble. And we get asked all the time, what do you guys do? You know, I've seen you there, I've seen your flashy neon sign. If I get sick, can I drive up? And the answer to that question is no. You need to go to Memorial Hermann ER first. And I'll go explain the levels of healthcare, and you'll get a little better understanding of why that is. Everything starts at the larger hospitals. People go into the ER, get diagnosed, treated. Sometimes you can go home, sometimes you're admitted. And if that admission gives you a plan of care that goes 1, 2, 3, or more weeks, they're going to need to place you at a different facility because they've got constant emergencies coming into the larger hospitals, and there's a constant need for beds at that level of care. So they'll pick whatever facility is appropriate for you and likely transfer you out. The highest level of care right under Memorial Hermann, or the short-term acute cares as they're called, is long-term acute care. And they treat medically complex problems. This is the category that Icon Hospital falls into. The way I explain it to patients and families, it's a larger hospital. It's just shrunk down to size. There's no ER because we get our patients from the outside facilities, and we don't do major surgeries. We do procedures, endoscopies, colonoscopies. Dr. Agarwal, they do procedures there as well, some Dopplers. Trach placements we do as well. We've got in-room dialysis, telemetry, the same patient-to-nurse ratio as the larger hospitals, and our staff consists of RNs, LVNs, respiratory therapists, dietitians, speech therapists, case management. We have a wound care department as well. And the physicians, since we're still acute care, the physicians still round daily. Attendings around daily, the cardiologist and the other specialties is 4 times a week.
Daily for us.
Daily. Okay, still daily for Dr. Argwal. He sees all his patients very frequently. That's wonderful. And right underneath Icon Hospital, or not Icon, but long-term acute care is inpatient rehabilitation hospital. By the time a patient gets here, usually the medically complex problems are resolved. But for some reason they can't go home. They may be still weak from a stroke. They may need to work on their motor skills, or they may have just been in the hospital bed for 3 or 4 weeks and maybe just need range of motion exercises, to where they'll go to a rehab hospital. And at the rehab hospital, they'll do some medical problems, a few IV antibiotics, things like that, but it's mainly concentrated on rehab. They do 3 hours of rehab per day, which is pretty intense, 3 hours per day. The acute care hospitals, the higher levels of care, they do rehab, but it's kind of more as a bonus just to keep you moving. The therapist will see you maybe 1 or 2 times a week for an hour each day. But it's really intense when you get to the inpatient rehabilitation level. But they are a lower level of care. There's no telemetry, no in-house diagnostics, no procedure rooms. They do have RNs, LVNs, dietitians, and of course all the therapy. Right underneath that is going to be a skilled nursing facility. Skilled nursing facilities are usually located inside your nursing homes. Not all of them, but the majority of them are. And they have about a 1 to 8 nurse to patient ratio at the skilled nursing facility level. And the majority of the care is done by the nurses. The physicians there will come by maybe once or twice a week. No telemetry again, no diagnostics, no in-room dialysis. If they have a dialysis patient, they'd have to transfer them out 3 times a week to a dialysis facility. But still, I'm not saying, when I say lower level of care, I don't mean lower quality of care. It's just a lower level of care. So the quality of care is still good. And after a skilled nursing facility is home health. When you ask patients where they want to go, 95% of them is I want to go home. No matter where they are, they always want to go home. And you're still under a physician care with home health, but mainly the nurses are doing the care there. The nurses will come around about once per week. They're limited on what they can do at home. They can draw some labs. There's some physical therapy done at home as well. There's some IV medications, but it's not real popular because you risk infection with IVs or having a blown vein or something like that. So most insurance companies like IV medications to be done as an inpatient somewhere. And the final level of care is hospice. Most of you have probably heard of. This is end-of-life care. It can be done inpatient or at home. Usually it's done at home. If it's going to be done at an inpatient facility, the physician usually sees the passing happening within 4 or 5 days or so because you don't need a higher level of care just to be kept comfortable in the hospital. And that's what hospice is geared for, just to keep the patient comfortable and pain-free during their time of passing. They don't treat any kind of complex medical issues. And there are some other levels of care which are a little smaller, and most of those are resident programs. Like nursing home, there is nursing care there, and there are residents that live there in the nursing home. There are assisted living facilities as well, where they do most of their daily activities on their own, but they do have assistants there available if needed for anything. And there's even adult daycares now, to where if you've got a senior that you can't care for, just like a child, you can drop them off at the daycare on the way, and they've got games for them to play, activities for them to do. I've spoken with many of them. They really enjoy it because they're around their peers and they like it. And that's it for level of care. Anybody have any questions? Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Just real quickly, what would like Memorial Hermann, how do they decide if they come to Icon or to another facility? How does that?
It depends on what they need. The process is, say Dr. Argowal has a patient there in Memorial Hermann Hospital. The patient's got fever, chills, not really sure what's going on with them. They'll do a workup and they find maybe an infection in the bloodstream, which that's got to be coming from somewhere. Further workup may find, they may do an echo of the heart and see some vegetation where there's a heart infection. And he will know that that patient's going to need at least 4 to 5 weeks of IV antibiotics, which there's several levels of care that does that. But since it's a heart infection, that patient will also need to be on telemetry or heart monitoring, where they would likely move to a long-term acute care facility that has telemetry, IV medication, acute daily care. But if it wasn't that serious, maybe just a urinary tract infection or something that needs 2 to 3 weeks of regular oral IV antibiotics, then they can send them to a skilled nursing facility or lower level of care. But there's a case management department at all the short-term acute care hospitals and some of the other levels of care that speak with the families, speak with the patients, and constant communication with physicians on where that patient needs to be placed.
Great. Thank you. Well, I also received a call this morning, bright and early, about 7:30, from Councilman Dave Martin, who had been summoned to Austin, so he's on his way there. However, he did send Jessica with us. So Jessica Beamer is going to give us an update from City Councilman Dave Martin. In case you're wondering, we're Humble Bizcom, why do we have a Houston City Councilman here? Yes, we're 10 square miles here in Humble and have the community, but a lot of things happening that affect us with Houston and those 200,000 plus people that live around this area. So, Jessica?
Thank you so much for having me. I am happy to be here on behalf of Councilmember Martin. As mentioned, I am a Humble High School graduate, class of 2004. It looks a little different from the last time I was here, but it looks wonderful. So thank you so much for the improvements. Humble ISD is super helpful with our office. The councilmember is a former board president, and we do a lot of communicating with Dr. Gaisconzo to help us get any information we need to get out to our Humble ISD schools that are in the city of Houston. They've always been a great help and asset to us. Just really quickly, City of Houston District E is basically Kingwood and Clear Lake. It's 50 miles in both of those communities. So 2 things that may be affecting people here in Humble that are happening right now is, one, our mobility study, which we're doing that involves all of the Kingwood area that include Westlake Houston Parkway, Kingwood Drive, and North Park Drive. So you all, if you've traveled out there, you may notice there's some congestion. It may take you a little bit longer to get out and then get back in during rush hour. So right now our steering committee is working with various agencies like TxDOT, State Representative Huberty's office, other agencies within Montgomery County, the Union Pacific Railroad, who swears there's no schedule for those trains. We could go on about that. But they've also been really helpful in our communications with helping us work out different options. Our steering committee does have 11 members, 10 of which do live in the Kingwood area. And they've currently prioritized 6 different options that they're looking at very closely, which is the widening of Kingwood Drive to 6 lanes, widening of North Park Drive to 6 lanes, the grade separations at the railroad crossings at North Park and 494, as well as grade separation at Kingwood Drive and 494 to eliminate those cumbersome lights that occur right as you head out. So if you do have any problems with lights, part of my job is to address those with the City of Houston and make them aware that those instances do happen where there may be a flashing light. Feel free to give me a call. I'll give you my phone number at the end of my presentation. So we're happy to do those types of things. I am going to pass out right now, if you would. There are some cards to look at all the different options, the maps, the comments, the minutes for every public meeting we've had thus far regarding our mobility study are posted on this website. If you need any help with navigation, again, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So our next step would be a 3rd and final public meeting that we're hoping to hold at the, I would say, beginning of March, is what we're looking to do once we have a final draft of the report that's been put together. So we'll be working with Humble ISD again to help spread the word about that public meeting, as well as our online newsletter that we distribute monthly. One project that's great that's happening just up the road is called Kings Creek Development. It's going to be located where the old Family Golf Center was, just south of Northeast Memorial Hermann Hospital. And it's going to be a wonderful community in Kingwood. Well, it's right up the road. You guys will benefit from the amazing restaurants. It's going to be a Class A LEED certified development that's going to be 63 acres. They'll have office space, residential, some retail, and also 5 miles of parks that'll be available to the public. The City of Houston will be maintaining those. The developer is including edible trees that'll be on site, so there'll be Houston native trees, pecan, citrus, olive, there for the community to enjoy, as well as a dog wash and dog park there on site. So I think that's a wonderful addition to our community out here in the Lake Houston area, and we're looking forward to seeing those. To get more information about Kings Creek Development, you can go to kingscreekdevelopment.com, and they've got pictures and sites up, and they're looking at bringing in some great restaurants and bars to the area with kind of a new take on organic. The green space on top of all the buildings will be used to farm organic vegetables and also to ionize any rainwater. So they'll be growing the food you're eating right above you from the restaurant, which is, I think that's pretty innovative. So those are 2 great things that I think will help benefit the Lake Houston area. My contact information is Jessica, Jessica, .beamer@houstontx.gov. I do have cards in the back. And then our phone number is 832-393-3008. If you all have any questions, I'm happy to be your liaison for the City of Houston. Any right now?
Good job.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Just real quickly, I wanted to introduce Stephanie Johnson. Is she still in here? Or is she out?
She's outside.
Outside. With the Chamber, who helps with the Bizcom, does a great job. Then we've had a little bit of change at the Chamber, if you have not heard. So Jenna Armstrong, wave there, is our new president. I think Charlie's most excited about that. And Charlie is now CEO of the Chamber and is making a transition to some other things, I guess, huh? But we got him for a couple more years, right? Yeah. And Charlie, would you mind just real quickly telling your story about, I always try to promote the Chamber and that it does so much more than just business to business. connections, and just like this venue here. And just real quickly, just tell us another reason why you might